quick turnaround in a short week. We actually had some kind of a walkthrough last night over in the indoor. Watched the film of the Baylor game, and then turned the page quickly and did a walkthrough for about an hour on Texas, and then worked a little bit later last night, and we'll have our first real practice today. Excited about the opportunity, excited about the challenge. You watch Texas on film; they're a really talented football team. I don't know what has gone on. I don't know why they're struggling, but other than this league is really tough, and it's a grind to win football games. And watching them on film, they're a really talented crew, and so we've got to rally our forces too. Obviously, we're banged up quite a bit, just like a lot of teams are. So it was a physical game on Saturday night, so we've got to do a great job of working to get our players back physically as well as mentally and stuff, without banging them a ton this week, but getting our work done so that we can field the best outfit we can for next Friday morning at 11 o'clock.
Well, Chris, have you figured out your plan at quarterback this week?
There's an outside shot actually of Skyler. Okay, so that's the positive side. I don't think he'll do anything today, and Tuesday would be iffy, but the kid wants to play, and we're going to see where he's at, and I don't think that'll be determined until later in the week. If he can't go, both guys would be ready with Will and Jaron, and Will would be the guy that we would start.
What's his role been like in practice all these weeks since he started his last game?
That's a great question. Taken a lion's share of the reps, and has taken as many reps with the twos and probably more than Jaron. We've split those up. Sometimes we'll put him in with the ones. So he's taken a lot of repetition. And I met with Will yesterday afternoon for a while. And he's excited for the opportunity because he just feels like he's grown so much from watching Sky for the last, 7-8 weeks in his preparation and visiting with him, whether it's in-game and weekly stuff, as well as Jaron. I know that Jaron would be ready to do it as well because I think those three guys are really close and they spend a lot of time together.
Just given the fact that he has only played in 4 games, when you said you're not going to be able to redshirt, might have to play, how did he react to that?
Very positive, because he knows this is a great opportunity for him to play and solidify himself, as well as he's played a lot of football to consider to still be a freshman. And I've seen enough situations in my time of coaching where you're healthy and you have an opportunity to play. Typically, kids want to play because you just can't forecast the future, what happens next August if something happens, and knock on wood, nothing like that does. But the conversation that we had yesterday, he's excited to play.
What's the challenge like to prepare for 2, possibly 3 quarterbacks on a short week?
Really challenging. Because we don't know who's going to play quarterback, but they don't know who's going to play quarterback for us. It's one of 3 as well. But I think the offense will stay the offense. You play this many games, and maybe somebody does something a little bit better than others. We can't make wholesale changes, no matter who plays quarterback for us, on a 3-day prep in essence. Having Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then getting on a flight on Thursday. And I would think they'd be the same way. They're very versatile, and they do so many things on offense that I think they can fit whatever quarterback is healthy or whatever quarterback that can play for them.
Any lasting defensive observations from the Baylor game after getting to watch that over again?
I thought we played really physical, and I thought we played really hard. It was fun watching those guys for us on defense lay it on the line and play really fast and physical for 4 quarters, and to play in a mid-November game at home that really had a bunch of meaning. And I was proud of the way the guys flew around. That's a good Baylor team. I think everybody knows that's a really good team, and they had a really good plan. But I was very pleased overall with how we played.
We've seen such an area of growth over the last month, Chris, and then there's a a day where you're not so successful. How have you seen maybe the mentality of this team since that loss, given the fact that you had so much success prior?
Well, that's the game of football too. Is you can be, you can be stopped on any given day. You can struggle to stop people, whatever it may be. Yesterday was I thought, an important day for us as far as I thought our intentional focus and us detailing our work. We walked through for an hour and showed all these different things offensively and defensively, and I thought it was really sharp and crisp, and it kind of lets me know of the maturity factor of our guys, that we didn't play our best football at times, but we've got to move on, and we have a great opportunity. We keep talking about having a special season, and it's still there for us. And it's going to be a really tough task to go to Texas on a short week, but I know our guys are excited about it.
There's always kind of an aura about University of Texas, a huge stadium, the facilities. When you think about, this will probably be the largest stadium you've participated in, 100,000 people or 100,000 capacity.
Yeah, I think it is. We were there in 2019, and most of our guys were there in 2019. So. And anticipating a good crowd. It's a fun environment. It's fun to play the Van Malone Texas Longhorns.
What do you think is the biggest challenge when you look at this team on film?
Well, on defense, the ability to disrupt the passer, the ability to get upfield and cause havoc because they have such tremendous front seven. Their back end is really good as well, but I think their front seven is really good. And then offensively, they're probably the biggest team we've played up front on the offensive line. I know they don't have the Robinson kid at running back, but the other guys are really capable and really good running backs, are rushing for 200 yards a game. And then they have special talent at wide receiver that can hit the home run on you at any time.
How has this season been for the head coach? It's been up and down and quick.
Yeah, it always goes quick, Fitz. You get to. It seems like we played on Labor Day weekend 100 years ago, and once you play that game, you're like, boy. Next thing you know, it's going to be close to Halloween, and then we get close to Halloween, and then next thing you know, we were struggling around that time. We'd gotten, I think, 1 or 2 wins back, and then next thing you know, it's going to be Thanksgiving. It's a grind for everybody, for the players, for the coaches, for the support staff, for you guys. It's a long season, and I'm excited for our whole football team, and in particular the seniors, that there's an opportunity after this game to make sure that we're playing postseason.
When this stretch of games started, 7 in a row, injuries were a real concern. You seemed to be doing pretty well with that until Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. We had, I thought, some pretty good depth until Saturday, and now we've been knocked down again. There's probably a lot of schools like that too, and so you hope all those young guy practices that you've done and sessions with players that maybe haven't played quite as much, that they're going to have an opportunity to even play a little bit more. And that's going to probably be one of those weeks where we're going to have all hands on deck. We are going to use our exemption to take more players to this game. You get one exemption a year, and so we're going to utilize that for this week to try to take a good 10 to 15 more guys to give us some more depth on special teams.
And Skylar's been here forever. I think he's 37 years old. His body has just taken a beating. And how does he handle the mental side of that?
I think he anticipates that this is going to be a struggle, and he takes care of his body really well. Gets lots of treatment, a lot of recovery. When you get, I don't care if any of those super seniors. I look at Fletch and J-Mac and those guys, and yeah, they're all beat up, but they don't know how much football they have left. All of them have aspirations of playing at the next level, and I hope they all get the opportunity. But you still have, I look at Noah Johnson, and Noah, if he could play every week for the next year, Noah would play every week. He just loves football and loves the competition and loves the practice and loves the grind of this. And that's the, that kind of embodies our senior class, is they They love this time of year, and it's fun when you're playing well. I know we lost on Saturday, but shoot, we're playing good football late in the season, and that's got to be a lot of fun for those seniors.
And finally, this is a silly question, but 7 wins is nice, but 8 feels much more substantial, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. And it doesn't matter how you get there. It really doesn't. Whether you started off slow or started off fast or where they come at. Wins, as we all know, are really hard to come by. And you cherish every one you have. And those locker rooms are a lot of fun. And so this will be a tough challenge, but it'll be a fun one to get.
What does John McPherson look like for this Saturday?
He'll be a game time decision. I don't know if J-Mac will be able to play, but he's going to try like heck to because he's only got a few more games left that he knows he's going to play. We got better news on J-Mac yesterday. We didn't think the news was going to be good, but it came back much, much better. So we're going to try to work him in and see what he can do this week. And J-Mac's a guy that even if he doesn't practice a whole lot, he knows it inside and out and would provide us, whether it's 20 plays or 60 plays. He's in good enough shape. I don't think it's going to be 80 degrees down there that if he can play, he'll play.
Did you get a chance to go back and watch what happened?
Yeah.
Is this an important thing?
I think so. I mean, I don't know how to explain that one, Fitz.
With the way Baylor attacked you with their defensive front, can you go to film and find ways to shore that up with your offensive line?
Well, we have to. Baylor's really talented, and Texas is no different. They've got really good front players, and I think we broke down a couple of times in protection. We did a good job on first down. We had some good plays on first down. We got a lot of second and shorts and second and mediums, and then we'd have some issues and get back to third and long, and needed to just continue to pound the football. And at the time, didn't realize it'd be that close of a game the whole way through, and it really was. We needed to just keep giving the ball inside the deuce and keep moving the chains, and whether it's a little bit of play action here and there, try to do some of that, and not let them lay their ears back on third and long like they did.
So looking back, running the ball a little bit more
You bet.
than the choice.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to get Deuce more than 11 carries, and we only had 51 plays. I mean, part of that was our inability on offense to sustain drives, but our inability on defense to get off the field enough. And Baylor does a lot what we want to do, control the time of possession and control the plays, and they did a great job of that. I knew they were going to go for it on fourth down a bunch. That's what they've done all year, and we stopped them a few times, but they were able to get a couple fourth down conversions that gave them another 8 or 9 plays. That's 3 or 4 minutes off the clock.
I was going to ask about J-Mac, but anybody else that looks like they might be?
Yeah, Skylar J-Mac that came out of the game that we'll learn more about later in the week. Joe Irvin came out of the game. We'll learn more about him. We hope to get Spencer Trussell back. That's the positive side because we need Spence back, and he ran yesterday, so that could give us a little bit of a lift, getting another defensive lineman. But, our offensive line and our defensive line came through healthy. So linebackers, running backs, everybody came through healthy there with the exception of Joe.
Well, Chris, I guess I'll go next. It's easy for us in the press box and then people on TV or even in the stands watching and to think that maybe the offensive line looked like it got dominated. But when you go back and watch the film, did they play really maybe better than we would think?
I think they can play better without question. But I think everybody on offense could probably play a little bit better. I think we could call it a little bit better. I think we could design some plans. I mean, Mess knows. I mean, we didn't have a great plan on third down for some of the things that they did. And they did a great job of when we got in man coverage of gluing us down, and in zone coverage they did a great job of passing some things off, and then they're relentless rushing the passer. I don't care if they're rushing 4 or rushing 5. I thought they did a great job of taking the first look away from Sky and then continuing to stay after it, and Sky wasn't getting out of the pocket. He was trying to stay in the pocket, which has been a great thing for us over the last 4 weeks, and they're so long and athletic in there that we probably could we could have played better up front. But give those guys credit; they're really talented. They're good up front.
And you've said repeatedly how special teams needs to be a difference maker, needs to be able to flip the field, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, take away the muffed punt the other day. I think people would be shocked to see that Phillip only has 67 yards on punt return this year. Yeah. Is there anything that he could have done differently, or have other teams just done a good job kind of preventing opportunities for him?
Well, there's a couple things on that. It's harder and harder to return punts because of the ability to – it's harder to block punts. We were fortunate. We got a block a couple of weeks ago. But people are getting so much better at kicking it into corners and if nobody's coming, holding it for a couple of counts, as well as getting 3 and 4 wide receivers in the game and covering punts and stuff. And did I think we would be better in the punt return game this year? Absolutely, with a guy like Phillip back there. But some of it is just kind of the nature of what's going on in college football right now. It's just like, I thought we'd have an opportunity to return a kick, and their kid kicked it out every time. So we didn't get any chances there. And kick return's been a big weapon for us. It's been a great offensive play for us to start off awful lot of games or to score, and we didn't get that chance. So, we had the muff punt. We had a chance on another one. It's a 50-50 call. Maybe that flips the field and we get a score there. But special teams, we've been good. I didn't think we were very good on Saturday, and we've got to be better this next Saturday.
It struck me that during the senior day ceremonies, Reggie Stubblefield was kind of reacting like he'd been here as long as Skylar had. Can you just take us inside that moment you had with him and you hugged him on the field there?
Yeah. Reggie didn't know he was going to be able to come here. We had him committed here, and then something happened, and he wasn't going to work, so we had to go through an appeal process with Reg, and he was sitting home, and I think he thought he was done with college football. And he was home for a few weeks, if I recall. I may be off on the timing, whether it was 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. And then we appealed, and we were able to win the appeal. And so we called him back and said, hey, we won the appeal. You're coming to Kansas State. And just the reaction on the phone of that kid, whenever that was. It was in July, I believe. It could have been late June, but it was sometime either late June or July. How excited he was that he got a chance. I knew we were going to get a kid that had energy. I didn't know it was this kind of energy. And he's been, a guy that's played really well for us. He had the broken thumb or hand, so he was in a cast for a while. But that was a special moment because he realized a couple things. One, how fortunate he was to be playing football for starters, and how fortunate he was to be at Kansas State, because he realized in a short period of time how great the fan base is, how great the university is, and how cool it is to say, I played football at K-State.
Has it been a fun experience for you at welcoming all these transfers this year? It seems like most of them have enjoyed it.
Yeah, they've fit in really well, and that's the hard thing is, especially because none of those kids visited. You couldn't visit, so they all came sight unseen, and we hit home runs with the quality of kids they are, as well as the quality of players they are. We know that this is kind of what college football is becoming a little bit, so you have to embrace it, but they have to be able to fit our culture and fit our locker room.
When you did watch replays of the game, were there more opportunities there in the passing game than it maybe looked at on first glance?
Yeah, absolutely there were. But I think we were flushed so quickly, or people at our feet or hands up, that we just weren't able to get back to our second read.
Chris, what goes into that process of determining whether a kid is going to be a good locker room fit and good fit for your program?
Well, in those cases, it was Zooming with those kids and Zooming with their families an awful lot, not just having a phone call, but making sure that I can see eye to eye, and Coach Malone or Coach Klanderman or Coach Mess or whatever coach is seeing eye to eye and having lengthy conversations with them, not just a handful, but a bunch of them. I look at Russ Yeast and Julius Brents and recruited those guys for it seems like an awful long time. May have been a month, but it seemed like an awful long time. And trying to get to know them, trying to get it to see where they would fit in as a player, but fit into as a person, and fit in and tell them how we were going to challenge them, but love them as well. And you know, we vetted our guys really well to make sure that they would be adding something, not just on the football field, but more importantly off the football field. And that's what I'm excited about for those guys that we did get.
Two guys coming to speak to us today, two players. I just want to ask you about them. The first one, just big picture, Felix, what he's meant to this team this season.
Yeah, Felix has had a phenomenal season, and I think all of us knew he was going to have a really good season. And he's exceeded a lot of people's expectations. Probably not Felix's, because he's a prideful kid. And once again, I keep going back to watching him learn from Wyatt Hubert about how you play this game relentlessly. And Coach Wyatt is always riding him to play harder and play faster. And he's a guy that has been relentless to the quarterback. You know, he makes a great play and it bounces right back to the kid from Baylor. I mean, that was one of the breaks that for 4 weeks we were getting, and we get a strip sack and it bounces right back up to the kid for a completion. But he's had a great season, and I'm excited. He's still really a young player.
And then the other one, of course, is the guy who's got 1,000 yards rushing.
Yep.
He needs 36 receiving yards to become only the fourth in Big 12 history to have 1,500 in the same season.
Wow.
What more can you say about him?
You know, he's an explosive play waiting to happen all the time. You know, he bursted through and got us back in the game on a big run. That's what he does, and he loves playing this game. That's the thing is, we always ask guys in the recruiting process, how much do you love playing football? High school football, I love it. You got to love college football. You got to love next level football, and that's one kid that absolutely loves every part of this game, from the grind of a fall camp to strength and conditioning, to the recovery part of it, to the games, to the camaraderie in the locker room. He's had a great season, like I thought he would.
You mentioned a few times just that with everything having to be done via Zoom the last year plus, that it's been maybe a little bit harder to create any kind of bond with other coaches. I just don't know, have you ever interacted with Steve Sarkisian? Have you guys ever crossed paths before at all?
Never have. So be my first time meeting Sark. I think Tui knows him a little bit. Ben Newman knows him, you know, because Ben had worked with Alabama as well, and so I know he's an unbelievable bright offensive mind. Some of the creativity that those guys are doing offensively is pretty unique.